It's Jasiri o'clock and talking about time, it's Tuesday the 30th of December 2025. We are at the final hours of the year as the countdown to the new year continues. With just a short time left before January 1st, we're keeping a close watch on the stories that are still unfolding, the issues demanding attention, and the developments shaping those closing moments of the year. On the program today, we'll take a closer look at the agreement between ASUU and the federal government, what it means for public university, and why it matters as the country heads into a new year. But first,
let's dive into this before we get into our main story today. And that's the story that has landed on the front page of papers, not just here in Nigeria, but also in some parts of the world. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has spoken via telephone with Nigerian-British former heavyweight boxing champion Anthony Joshua, following a tragic road accident in Ogun State in which the boxer was injured and two of his associates died. According to police and road safety officials, the Lexus SUV Joshua was traveling in collided with a stationary truck around 11 a.m. and two of the 5 occupants of the vehicle died at the scene. Now, multiple reports confirm that Joshua sustained only minor injuries and was taken to a local hospital. We heard that he was eventually brought to a hospital here in Lagos, where he was said to have been in stable condition and under observation. Now, his promoter, Matchroom Boxing, described the losses as devastating, noting that the two men who died, Shina Gami and Latif Lats Ayodele, were close friends and key members of Joshua's team.
So officials from the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, say the crash may have been caused by excessive speed and an unsafe overtaking maneuver, though investigations are ongoing. Videos are circulating on our social media that show the wrecked vehicle and pictures of Joshua being helped from the crash site, conscious but visibly shaken. This tragedy comes after Joshua's recent big knockout win over Jake Paul in Miami on December 19th, a fight that had reignited talk of a future showdown with Tyson Fury.
Let's see the reactions that have come in for this story, and we'll talk. Peter Obi, a former presidential candidate, said it is with deep concern that I received the news of the road accident involving former heavyweight boxing champion Mr. Anthony Joshua. It is particularly worrisome that this incident occurred while he was in Nigeria. Many of us are also compelled to reflect on reports that no ambulance was readily available to convey him to the hospital. May God Almighty grant him a speedy recovery, and I extend my deepest sympathies to the families of the 2 lives lost. May God grant them comfort and grant the departed eternal rest. The president says, I've spoken with AJ to personally convey my condolences over the passing of his 2 close associates, Kevin Latif Ayodele and Shina Gami, in the recent accident. I wished him a full and speedy recovery, and prayed with him. AJ assured me he is receiving the best possible care. I also spoke with his mother and prayed for her. She was deeply appreciative of the call. Governor Abiodun, who was at the hospital with them, assured me he will do everything possible to ensure AJ receives the best attention. May God strengthen the families and grant repose to the souls of the departed. Signed, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Ogun State government, I think these are just a number of things, but let's get to what the main part was. So sorry, they talked about the preliminary report of what the accident was. This is also from the governor of Ogun State, Dr. Abiodun, talking about confirming the accident and that the vehicle conveying a team of 4, so we're hearing that 5 were in the vehicle, we're hearing 4 were in the vehicle, reportedly collided with a stationary truck, resulting in the tragic loss of 2 lives. We extend our deepest condolences to the families of the deceased and share in their grief. We also have this. The events of yesterday involving Anthony Joshua and his friends, Shina Gami and Latif Lats, is a painful reminder of just how fragile and unpredictable life truly is. It leaves you wondering how everything can be taken in a flash. One moment we're here with dreams and plans, and the next, everything can be gone. This Anthony Joshua incident is going to change Dirty December permanently. He is a global icon and not someone ordinary. People will start asking hard questions about safety, roads, and emergency services. We've been asking these questions for years. Do we have any more? Okay, Anthony Joshua's accident serves as a wake-up call for the urgent need for better road infrastructure and emergency response systems across many African countries. What Anthony Joshua reportedly witnessed after the crash was not just tragedy, but chaos. No urgency, no professionalism, just noise, confusion, and people untrained for a moment that demanded calm and care. A world champion in shock and agony, allegedly made to walk, then sit in a police van, treated not as a traumatized survivor, but as an inconvenience. When first responders fail at the very moment lives hang in the balance, the scars left behind are deeper than the accident itself. Some experiences don't just hurt, they break trust forever. Maybe a stretch.
What are you saying?
Exactly. Let's take this last one. Those two who died in that auto crash with Anthony Joshua had plans for the new year with their families. They celebrated Christmas and were already grateful to make it to the end of the year and see another year. Let's leave it at that. Guys, see, this was one of the most depressing things that have happened in recent times. Not to say we've had a lot. Nigerians have faced a lot this year, from the kidnapping of school children in multiple schools, from bombings, from U.S. airstrikes. But I think for many people, this just hit differently yesterday. Yeah. And I think one of the reasons it probably hit differently was because it's just a few days to New Year's. And then there's a video of Joshua and his friend where they were, I think, playing ping pong or table tennis in the morning, wherever they were coming from in Ogun State. They were carefree. Life was good. Nobody knew that the specter of death was somewhere hanging.
Just look at that. You know, the uncertainty of life is something that has weighed me down. I think it's really dampened my celebrations for Christmas. When I heard about Ife's passing, one of our broadcasters from Ibadan, I just couldn't celebrate Christmas with verve and joy. It just made me feel like you're celebrating something.
This is them. I'm so sorry, Lolo. One of them, this is their first time visiting Nigeria. First time visiting Nigeria.
They lost their lives here. If I begin to talk about our emergency services, honestly, I did see him, you know, being helped out of the car. I didn't see any ambulance at that venue. We need to do better with such things, because moving somebody from an accidented car in this way can cause more damage, because none of these people are professionals. They are just helping. We understand that. Look at the car, the impact, and it wasn't even night.
11 a.m.
It was 11 a.m. So we really did need to investigate this, because it was a stationary truck. That means whatever happened with this car. I don't know if it was overspeeding or maybe lack of concentration. You know, there's a way
there's even potential of brake failure, because right now a lot of the attention is on that the car oversped and then went off road, because this stationary vehicle was parked off
on the side,
not on the road, not in the middle of the road, but it was actually off the road. So there's conversation, but I think it's important for the FRSC to ensure that there's a full road accident investigation, and they let us know. So check the car, check everything. But aside from that, you made the point. Let's go back to the video of him being removed from the vehicle. And you know, I talk about this all the time. I say it all the time. So with road accidents, you are, most times, unless you know the car is going to blow up, you don't remove them. Why? Because people who are involved in road accidents have likelihood of spinal injuries, concussions or head injuries. They have lower extremity potential of those injuries. And in the pulling and dragging and trying to remove them, you're in pain. Yes, in the pulling and dragging that you're trying to remove them, you may actually do more damage. So unless you know the car is about to explode or anything, sometimes you have to leave them. But then in Nigeria, you'll ask, who are you leaving them for? How long are you willing to leave them? So FRC was on the scene. They say they were on the scene within 3 minutes. But FRC is still not. They can be first responders, but they're not the ambulance.
There's so many things that we need to look at and be very conscious about in Nigeria. And it's because he's a high-profile person. That's why he got so much.
There are videos of it.
Videos of it, and he got so much media attention. And this one, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a road. Maybe it's not the road system.
It's a contributory factor.
It might be a contributory factor. Maybe from where they are trying to dodge potholes.
Maybe then also maybe there's a curve. You know, when you're driving, probably there could be a lot of things involved. Probably brake failure. Probably.
But this road I'm looking at,
so I'm here is Lagos Ibadan Express, that whole area that brings you there.
That road is quite good.
They were on their way out of Lagos.
If it's about Lagos Ibadan Express, because I still applied it from Oyo last 2 weeks, I would say that it was quite, the road is okay. But we need to learn to investigate properly so that people just don't continue to speculate. And the things that we need to put our focus on, we need to put our focus on it. I know there's so many things that happen when people are in a car. He could just be gisting. I find out that just a moment of distraction can take your eyes off the road. And before you know it, something terrible has happened.
Catherine?
It's not what we hoped for. It's not what Anthony himself hoped for when he decided to come back home for Christmas. It's not what anybody, and I don't think no matter how much you plan for contingencies and things like this, I don't think anyone in their wildest dreams would have thought that this would happen. If you ask me, I would think Anthony is still in shock. He's still coming to terms with a lot of things that are happening.
The loss, it's not the car, it's the life.
It's a loss. These are people, these are his people. You know what that means? These are his people, and honestly, we just, we pray that the souls of the departed, they rest in peace.
It's been like this end of the year had come with a lot of losses. You know, when that actress died too.
Yes.
Oh, well, you know, I know her personally. She was in my movie. I was shaking a little bit. And that's why we keep telling everyone that our health is important, that you check your blood pressure from time to time. There's so many things that silently kill that people don't take cognizance of. Because you have pains or aches or some shakes, you just say, I'm going to be okay. And you self-medicate. Sometimes just take time to check maybe your blood pressure, because it's a cardiac arrest.
Our lifestyles are questionable. And let's not forget, yesterday also news came that a popular social media influencer died by suicide. So yesterday was just lazy writer.
Yeah, lazy writer, and he said he was free.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break.
Still, still ahead. The Academic Staff Union of the University says it has now reached an agreement with the federal government after years of negotiations. But can this really be implemented? We'll be speaking directly with ASUU President Professor Chris Piwuna on what this deal means, what guarantees exist, and what Nigerians should expect as we head into 2026. All this happens after the break. Stay with us.
As the year winds down, we turn to a story that has shaped Nigeria's higher education landscape for over 16 years. The long-running negotiations between the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, and the federal government. After more than a decade and a half of strikes, stalled agreements, and unfulfilled promises, the union and the government have reached a new agreement set to take effect from January 1st, 2026. The deal covers several critical areas, including a 40% increase in lecturers' salaries. The agreement also promises greater university autonomy, improved academic freedom, and better funding for research, laboratories, and libraries. ASUU's president, Professor Chris Piwuna, has confirmed the development and urged the government to implement the agreement faithfully, highlighting the union's frustration with past administrations that failed to honor similar deals. Now, today on Jasiri, we'll unpack what this agreement means for lecturers, students, and universities nationwide, and examine whether the promises can realistically be implemented, and consider the broader implications for Nigeria's education sector as we step into 2026. Joining us now is the president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Professor Chris Piwuna. Professor Piwuna, welcome back to Jasiri. Thank you again for joining us.
This season, and I'm happy to be here.
Compliments to you as well. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, sir. Let's just enter into this conversation very quickly. Let's start by breaking down the new agreement ASUU and the federal government have reportedly reached, which is set to take effect on the 1st of January 2026. This is a deal that touches, several important issues, I'm sure, over the years. Professor Piwuna, what are the key elements of this new agreement? Because I know this is not the first, second, or third. This particular one, what are the key elements that we need to focus on?
Well, thank you very much, and compliments of the season 180. Once again, I want to commiserate with the families of friends of Antonio Joshua who lost their lives, and all their fans across the world, but particularly those of us whom they had come to spend Christmas with. I was just thinking that I was listening to you as a medical doctor myself. I'm wondering whether we have enough ambulance services, especially in high-risk, areas, roads such as Lagos-Ibadan express roads that we have seen accidents one after the other, dozens of lives lost in one, just single accident. And the pictures that you showed, I didn't see any emergency service, there. And the way you were talking about how the victims were being brought out, just 1 second is enough to lose a life if services that are needed are not there.
Yes.
And so I think rather than this ceremonial ember moons warning by road safety, by the roads, sensitizing people, that's good. But I think there's need to sustain that kind of advocacy. Look at how chaotic the place is. And so I think there is need for relevant agencies to take note and avert such very unfortunate incidences. And just on the lighter note, I wanted to ask your colleague whether she has the doctor's go ahead to be on this program with the bandage around her hand, or she's one of those who is also not taking her health very seriously.
Catherine, answer the question.
Want to know that. But that's just on the lighter note, But like you said, we have an agreement with the federal government. We have signed the agreement. It was after many, many years of negotiations. And in summary, we finally have an agreement. And the agreement covers a lot of grounds. Some of the items that the agreement covered are things that were in previous agreements. Things such as autonomy of the university. So those things were just reaffirmed in this agreement that we have with government. Governance issues, how vice chancellors are appointed, who and who qualifies to be a member of the governing council, a little tweak here and there, but generally those items were just reaffirmed. One of the key aspects that we're very happy to have in this agreement is the research and development aspect of the agreement. We're now going to have, government has agreed to commit about 1% of its GDP for research and development. We cannot grow as a nation beyond what we produce from research laboratories. We cannot leap to the future without research. And so for government to agree to this aspect of the agreement is one thing that we are truly, truly happy about, every researcher in this country. And that aspect, for your information, is not just for universities. Research institutes, we have about 61 of them in this country. We hope that once the bill is passed, and we're going to push it relentlessly, once the bill is passed for the Research Council, we'll make sure that the research institutes are streamlined in such a way that we'll have the maximum benefit. So we don't spread, the little that we have over a very large surface area, so that it will be focused and the country will benefit and our future would be better. Another thing that we're able to get, through this agreement is our new salary. Okay, we are happy about that.
Of course.
We're very happy about it. So what we got, and it was very crucial to us, is the separation of our salaries, basic salaries, from our allowances. I wish you could see what is written on my shirt. It's working tools are not to be taxed. And that is one of the key achievements that we have in this agreement. So we have our allowances, our tools of work are going to be exempt from taxation. And so we're very happy about it.
Of course, Professor, and I know, I can imagine, the happiness shines through your eyes, and I'm sure your fellow members of ASUU also feel like, oh, finally. But I would like to ask, how significant is the reported 40% salary increase for lecturers? And what impact do you think it might have on morale and retention, especially with the brain drain situation in the country?
This is a very tricky question. It is tricky because it will be unkind of us in ASUU to say the 40% is not enough. We wish it were more, but we're truly grateful that government agreed for us to have this percentage. We started from 25%. It moved to 30%. It moved to 35%. And we finally settled for 40%. That is significant for now. We hope that going forward, if the agreement is reviewed as we've agreed every 3 years, then we can look forward to another increase in 3 years from now. As to what it will do to morale of our members, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. We understand that Nigerians, all public servants in Nigeria, are complaining about their wage. There has been strike by NLC and other associations and unions, doctors, doctors, but for government to agree to our increase. Are you there?
Yes, we are.
Okay. For government to agree to the increase, despite all these demands around it, we appreciate what government has done. And I believe that our members too would appreciate this and rededicate themselves, commit themselves to better services, to care for our students, our lectures, research, in any way possible. We should show our students, that we have reached an agreement, and that even though it is not entirely what we wanted, but it is enough for us to rededicate ourselves to care of our students. Abuses, all sorts of exploitation or extortion, whatever that is happening within the system, we should serve as vanguards to fight against it, to show this students that we have towards better educational system in the country.
So, Dr. Piwuna, I want to quickly combine two questions because I think they're quite important along with this 40% increase in salary. So we're also hearing about retirement age and pension packages or retirement packages. So take us through that. What changes have been proposed for pension and retirement packages, including the retirement age for professors? And then you did, of course, mention research. I think you're very happy and excited about that. Talk to us about the 1% of GDP peg for the National Research Council that's meant to come about as a result of this agreement.
Like I said, some of the aspects of this agreement were just a reaffirmation of previous agreements that have been reached by government. The issue of 70 years retirement for academic staff, particularly those at the professorial cadre, was one that was achieved in 2009. When we reaffirmed that aspect, in this agreement, is to tell our members and for the public to know that the need why we needed the 70 years still exists. One, we needed experienced hands within the system. It's only when you look at that professorial cadre and some senior lecturers that you see people that are experienced and can mentor younger ones, within the academic field. So that was one. We also believed that at the rate that our members were retiring, if we lose them at 60 or 65, then there is a whole gap that is created at that level. So the 70 years was reaffirmed, showing that there is still need, to build up manpower, up to that level. That's one. They also are going to retire with their full benefits. The retirement with full benefits is not something that is entirely new. It's been in the offing. It's part of what was agreed in 2009 that was never implemented. And so to reaffirm it now, we're just saying that, look, government needs to look at this thing more seriously than they have in the past. And through our PFA, the Pension Fund Administration, NUPEMCO, some of our members are already retiring with their benefits once they meet the conditions that have been set out by PENCOM. And one of the conditions is that you must have unbroken service within the university for at least 20 years before you reach 70 years of retirement.
Okay.
In the alternative, if you have been a professor for if you've been a professor for 20 years, even if you have not reached the 70 years of age, then you can retire with your full salary. And that, to us, is one of the great things that we reaffirmed during this agreement. As for the research, you know that TED Fund is doing quite a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, more than supporting universities in building structured infrastructure, classrooms, lecture halls, laboratories, offices, and all of that. One of the key things that TED Fund is doing now is the National Research Fund that supports research across Nigerian institutions, but it is not enough.
Yeah.
And so this agreement seeks to widen the net for research.
Okay.
And so more institutions will benefit from it. There will be more funds available. If you imagine 1% of our GDP. I think we should be comparing with Hong Kong, Singapore, and other places.
Professor, we'll be going on a short break now. By the time we return, we'll continue this very interesting conversation. Please do stay with us.
Welcome back to Jasiri. Beyond the details of the federal government's agreements with ASUU, it's important to understand why this deal matters for lecturers, for students, and the university system as a whole. So for many, it's not just about the money, it's about stability, the quality of education, and the ability to plan for the future. And we have the president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities with us today as we look at what many call a historic deal. We've heard that takeoff for this agreement is on Thursday, January 1, 2026, which is just days away, actually, hours away. So, Professor, thank you for staying with us on Jasiri. Can you take us through the timelines or the benchmarks in the agreement for the government to implement all these measures?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, like you said, it's going to be 1st of January 2026. And that is something that we, to be honest with you, we are worried about, despite all the goodwill that we've received so far. Previous agreements always required a strike action to get it implemented. To get government pass, circulars that would bring the agreement to life takes a strike. And we truly hope that this will not be the same. In 2007, our union started meeting with the Yar'Adua administration that produced the 2009 agreement. So that agreement took 2 years before it came to life. 2 years. It took another strike, disruption in academic activities, shutdown of the Nigerian universities completely, including, unfortunately, the loss of lives of even one of our past presidents, Festus Iyayi, in the course of that strike, before that agreement was implemented. Up to today, before this agreement will come to life in January 2026, there are aspects of the 2009 agreement that have not been fully implemented by government and universities. And so this is very, very crucial that the next phase that will require implementation should not cause any fight. It should not cause any quarrel. They have agreed, they have signed, their team have consulted with them severally before we reach that point of signing the agreement. And so we expect that the implementation will be seamless. You just highlighted the advantages of a seamless implementation. Mm-hmm. We don't want any threat of strike in 2026. We don't want any ultimatum in 2026. We don't want any warning strike in 2026. We don't want any total comprehensive strike in 2026. They have agreed to what they can afford. It is time to act, and we expect nothing less than for government to act on that agreement.
So this answer just leads me to my next question, because the question many Nigerians, many parents, many students will have is, how does this deal compare to previous ASUU agreements over the last 16 years? And given the history of stalled agreements, of strikes having to be the fire under government's proverbial, we know what it is, to get them moving, what makes this deal different or more likely to succeed? And Dr. and Professor Piwuna, we have to ask directly, do you have faith in government, in the Tinubu administration, to uphold their end of this bargain so that there are no strikes in 2026 and we see progress in 2026? Because, you know, as we opened earlier today, Catherine and Lola, we've all been saying you're a lot calmer than the last conversation we had. There seems to be some level of confidence and joy radiating from you in regards to this. Do you have faith that the government, that the Tinubu administration will fully uphold its part and will not bring ASUU back to a point where strike conversations are even on the table?
Yeah. I have faith that they will implement it.
Where is that faith coming from? I think you need to share some of it, or share the source of the faith.
Yeah. Please don't.
During these negotiations, throughout the negotiations, the information we got through sources that were not official were that the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was involved in virtually all the steps of the agreement. We didn't meet with him, we didn't speak with him, but we had reliable information that he was briefed at every step of the agreement, and he agreed to what his people were bringing back to us. If that truly happened, and the President of the Federal Republic knew about this agreement in virtually at all the stages that the agreement went through, then to say that I don't have faith in their implementation of this agreement is to almost say that I don't have faith in Nigeria anymore. And I have faith in Nigeria. I have confidence that this country would be better than what it is. We may not be the ones that will birth it, but I have no doubt that it will come. And because I don't have doubt that Nigeria will be better, I have to trust the president that because he's involved, this agreement will be different and it will be implemented to the latter.
All right, Professor Piwuna, just hold on. We'll get back to this conversation in just a moment and even look at how much is going to education in the 2026 budget. This is Jasiri, a conversation on the future of education in 2026. Stay with us.
Thank you very much for staying with us on Jasiri this beautiful morning. And of course, we've been talking with Professor Piwuna on this new agreement that ASUU has entered in with the federal government. Professor, I hope you're still here with us. Thank you. Yes, the government has actually agreed to a 40% increase in the lecturers' salaries. I saw your smile breaking when that happened. How realistic is this given Nigeria's current fiscal pressures, inflation rate, and budget constraints? And in the context of Nigeria's inflation and cost of living, does the increase actually improve the lecturers' real purchasing power, notwithstanding the new tax regime that is even coming in the coming year?
My understanding of this 40% increase is a family that could afford just one meal a day, and some succor came their way and they are able to feed twice a day. It's an improvement. They would want to have 3 square meals, morning, afternoon, and night. Unfortunately, they can only have that for lunch in addition to breakfast. That's our perception of the 40% that has been increased. Like I said, it's not exactly what we want. We may not even be talking about a diet. We're just talking about food. So we're able to eat food. We're not even having diets, but it's an improvement. And we think that it will alleviate things such as transportation to work. It would probably allow our members to have their academic tools that they will need to, say, buy a journal, subscribe to journals, purchase data, attend a conference or something. There is going to be some improvement in what we're doing. And we intend as ASUU members to prove to government that if you could give us just this little, and see what the output is, then if you give us more, all of us will be better off as a nation. There will be stability. Our quality of education will rise. We'll begin to have people around Africa, around West Africa, that want to come to Nigerian universities to study. 1, because the calendar is stable. 2, because the quality of education is there. And 3, for experience outside their countries. So we believe that this is not exactly what we want, but it's going to motivate us to do more. And we hope that by doing more, government would also reciprocate. In our statement after the agreement, we also said government should hasten to conclude the agreement with SANU, NASU, and NAT. The reason why we made that remark is because we know that government cannot just improve the conditions of service for academic staff. It is, incumbent on them to include these other sister unions on campus. That way, the stability in the system would be a lot better, and we can all benefit and be happy working within the system. We know that it's about equity, it's not equality. We're not expecting government to give SANU exactly what they're giving us. We're not expecting government to give NAT exactly what they're giving NASU. So everybody will get or should get what he or she is entitled to get.
All right,
there are other unions on campus that have been registered, but we consider them part of ASUU. So we're not talking about government doing anything about them. I'm referring to Konwa, I'm referring to NAMDA. The court has ruled that ASUU is the most representative of academic staff in Nigerian universities.
All right,
So
Professor, just hold that thought just a little bit. I'm very interested in the budget speech, the president's budget speech of next year. But we have to quickly go on a tiny little break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. All right, let's see how we can pack a lot of the questions we have in as much as possible with the president of ASUU, Professor Piwuna, who's with us. So, Prof, straight into it. I told you before the break, we were interested in the president's 2026 budget speech in front of a joint session of the National Assembly, where he said education will receive 3.52 trillion naira as allocation, which comes third behind defense and security, which will receive 5.4 trillion. Infrastructure is pegged at 3.56 trillion. Then education with health rounding up the top four, allocated 2.48 trillion naira. Now, we've seen the top four. In your view, does the current education allocation in next year's budget reflect the priority that public universities and education overall need, especially in the light of the ASUU government agreement on funding and institutional reforms?
Always believed that government can do more when it comes to allocation to education. We also believe that government has enough to fund education if they could shade off excesses. And there are so many areas of excesses, even within this government of President Tinubu. There are so many areas of excesses that they have continued to entertain. Is it in the National Assembly? Is it in the executive? We live with these people. We see that their lifestyles are not the same as that of other Nigerians. We live with these people. We also see that they are not living within their means. It's all over the country. We can see it. And so our belief is that in terms of allocation, particularly to education, government can always do better. And we need to let them know that if they could just cut down on their excesses, they would have enough to fund education. We have told this government, as we have told previous governments, that they cannot solve all of Nigeria's problems. They cannot. No government can do it. But education can solve all the problems.
Professor, I'm sure
we want to jump in and ask so many questions.
We'll probably have a part 2 of this discussion because we're just cramming everything into the next last few minutes that we have. I don't know if we'll go on a quick break and when we return, we'll just ask one final question and it will be all we'll take for today.
A conversation about what is being described as a historic agreement between the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the federal government under the Tinubu administration after 16 years of stalled agreements, of strikes and failed promises. Our guest is Professor Chris Piwuna. He is the president of the...
It's safe for you to call me a doctor.
Yes, because I know you get to doctor before you get to professor, but I don't know why it's doctor that's in my mouth. But Professor Piwuna, it's been a pleasure having you, but I know there's one final question we have to take. So where does the success of this agreement lie? You told us earlier that because you believe that Nigeria can be better, you have to believe that the Tinubu administration will uphold the promises that they've agreed to. And you've been told, you've heard, that the president has been fully involved at the back end with the agreements that have been made and then presented to you as ASUU. So where does the success of this agreement lie? And in terms of timelines and milestones, what?
He has to answer in one minute.
Oh my God, in 1 minute. In terms of timelines and milestones, how long is ASUU willing to give the government to see if the government will fulfill its promises, and if time, third question.
No,
and if time
no.
runs out,
One.
and progress has not been sufficient, what is ASUU willing to do? If you can answer in 1 minute.
Wow.
Sincerity. Just one word, sincerity. If government is sincere, this agreement will succeed. If government intends to play politics, it will not succeed. And if we see any ounce of insincerity, we are going to respond. And we are going to respond in a very robust, strong manner that government will realize that they cannot, not about ASUU, but that they cannot take Nigerians or the future of Nigerians through education for granted.
Thank you
If they are
very
sincere,
much.
I love it.
If they are sincere, this agreement will succeed.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Professor
you, thank
Piwuna. We
you.
appreciate you. I know that we'll be picking up this conversation in, very soon. We're just going to hope and watch with you to see what the government will truly do with this new agreement. And that's where we'll be drawing the line today. Tomorrow will be another
Happy
day.
New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Thank
We'll see
you
you
so
on the other
much.
side.
Happy New Year, sir.
We'll see you at the crossover tomorrow.
All right, we're out. Lola, I think we're going now.
Yeah, we'll see you at crossover tomorrow.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. And may we all meet again to crossover. Bye-bye.